So it's that time of the year. Whenever I see a recipe with pumpkin pie spice, I got to try it. It just, the juices start going, you know, it's like, how can I not try this? So the last one was pumpkin spice cookies. They look good. So I did a little demo and we thought it was pretty good. I've modified it a little bit. So we're going to try a new version of it. And so what I like about it is that it's a lot of whole foods. Again, it's not a lot of flour. There's no flour in it at all, just rolled oats. So we start with dates as a whole food sweetener. We like that. We have our almonds, which gives it a nice rich flavor and adds the whole food oil content. So no butter, no milk, none of that stuff. And in the recipe, I mentioned that you can use cooked yams or sweet potato, again for sweetener and texture and kind of bring that pumpkin flavor forward. Or you can use canned pumpkin. If you find unsweetened canned pumpkin, you can use that too. I just like to stay with the whole food that I prepare at home rather than going through canned foods, but this can work. So we're gonna whir that all up together. And then we're going to add all the rest of the ingredients. So here we go. You have to work down the sides. Okay. So this is a little different from the way I did it the first time. I can see my experiment is not quite what I expected it to be. So what we need to do is get those almonds and dates well chopped into the cubes. That is not working. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to add a little water so that it's loose enough to mix down in there.
How much water did you?
That was a half a cup of water. So the recipe calls for half a cup of water. Let's see if that will do it for us. Okay, back down to the sides. Put it in there.
That helped a lot.
So what I'm going to do on the recipe for you is what we'll do is we will first pop the almonds and the dates together because that'll go really quickly. You won't go through this whole process. And once they get chopped up, then we can add the yams and the sweet potatoes. I probably could have figured that out ahead of time, but I didn't. So.
Well, that's what's so good about life. We get to try again.
That's the thing about life.
You get to learn and try again.
Okay, let's wipe that down one more time. And then we'll add everything together. Getting chunked up. Nice and chunky. Wow. There's
Looks
something
good.
about yams and sweet potatoes with me too. I just love those flavors. It's not overly sweet, but it's rich and it's got this texture I love. So that may be part of why I love pumpkin pie. There's just a wonderful, rich, subtle sweetness. Okay, I'm gonna call that good. And that's our yams, our pumpkin, plus the sweet potatoes. Oh, yeah, and the almonds and dates. So I'm going to leave that for a minute and add everything to the bowl. We start by mashing our banana, already mashed.
Do you use one or two bananas?
2 bananas.
Okay.
And we add 2 cups rolled oats.
Oh, that's nice.
And then we have a tablespoon of molasses. Oh, tablespoon. So this too, often I use the maple syrup as a whole food sweetener. I like that because the maple syrup is anti-inflammatory, whereas the molasses is a little bit inflammatory, but there's so little that I'm not overly concerned with that. The yams and the sweet potatoes are anti-inflammatory, so they'll offset that in my opinion, offset that inflammatory influence. And I thought to try the molasses just to give it a less kind of sharp sweet taste, that more subtle, deep body flavor of a sweetness that molasses provides. And 1 dropper of the liquid stevia. We have 2 tablespoons of baking powder. No, 2 teaspoons. 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of the pumpkin pie spice.
And 2 teaspoons of baking powder, huh?
Yeah, 2 teaspoons. Okay, so I'm going to mix that up together. And I make my own pumpkin pie spice. I have found that the pumpkin pie spices I bought in the store weren't quite what I wanted. So I started playing around with it. So I'll include that in the recipe that we send to you also. And it's basically just 4 tablespoons of cinnamon. So it's mainly cinnamon. And then a couple of teaspoons of ground ginger, a couple of teaspoons of allspice, a couple of teaspoons of nutmeg, and a half teaspoon of cloves. So that's my pumpkin pie spice recipe. So that's what was going in there. Now we'll take this out, add that. I've preheated my oven to 350. There's the pumpkins. Get this out. We'll start putting our cookies together on the parchment paper. I just shape them to the kind of thickness and size that I like. I kind of like this size. So we're going to call that done. We'll put them in the oven for 18 minutes.
Oh, that's a short time.